Greetings and welcome to the Black Doctoral Network Fall 2024 Workshop Series. I want to start off by sharing first, I'm Monique Bury-Ballard and welcome. Second, I want to introduce you to the career educator who focuses on transitional and transferable skills. But let's listen to them from their own words.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CK Save Project and host of the Odd Coaches podcast. I'm excited to invite you to my upcoming workshop as a part of the Black Doctoral Conference Network's virtual series. Mark your calendar for Wednesday, October 30th, 2024, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific for Staying Connected, Empowering Doctoral Students to Enhance Mental Health and well-being. Whether you are navigating the challenges of a doctoral program or supporting someone who is, this workshop offers practical strategies to help you stay motivated, resilient, and connected. I'll be introducing my Stay Connected framework, a holistic approach to well-being, self-directed learning, and building a supportive community. Through interactive discussion and actionable insights, you'll leave with the tools needed that you can use immediately. If you are ready to take charge of your academic journey and enhance your mental health, register now. This will be a transformative experience, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Register today at blackphdnetwork.org/events. And before the event, visit www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more about our organization and check out clips from the Odd Coaches podcast.
Welcome, family. My, what a treat do we have today. As you have just heard out of the mouths of babes, is Dr. Keith Adams, and you have joined us for Staying Connected, Empowering Doctoral Students to Enhance Mental Health and Well-Being. This is going to be led by Dr. Keith Adams. In the chat is going to be his contact information, and we will share that shortly as well. Let me give you a little taste about the workshop that we have in store today. This season, our viewers have requested strategies to maintain motivation, to remain resilient, and to energetically engage throughout their academic journey. The BDN was fortunate enough to re-meet Dr. Keith Adams, who created their proprietary Stay Connected framework to help students excel both academically and professionally. He is here with us today to facilitate participants as they learn 3 techniques to enhance personal well-being, promote self-directed learning, and to build a strong support network. We believe at BDN that this session will provide practical steps to help you, the viewer, prepare in navigating the challenges of one's studies and future careers with confidence. Speaking of empowerment, let's meet the expert. Dr. Keith Adams is the president and founder of the CK Save Project, focused on empowering student athletes. With over 30 years of experience, he is leading advocacy for their academic and personal growth. Dr. Adams holds a doctorate in educational leadership and has conducted research on the relationship between academic and athletic motivation among NCAA Division I athletes. He's the author of Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. He is also a former high school teacher, coach, and athletic director. Dr. Adams now concentrates on supporting students and stakeholders in school programs while frequently speaking and writing on sports ethics and the educational impact of athletics. But on a deeper level, One may state that Dr. Keith Adams is the career educator who focuses on transitional and transferable skills. I'll summarize that in 3 perspectives, and then we will hear from him. The first perspective, from the classroom. With 30 years in education and a first-generation college student, he supported himself by working at Fortune 500 organizations and is an alum of Boise State out of Maryland, go Bulldogs, and as well as being an alum of Grand Canyon University. He is also certified in not only educational leadership, but also in CMAA, the highest designation via athletics administration. He is also returning to our home of BDN, whereas in Philly in 2015, he initially presented his doctoral research. The second of 3 vantage points that Dr. Adams brings to us is he is not only an athlete in basketball, he is also a D1 student athlete motivator, and he feels that this is a transferable skill. As we saw in the commercial, Finding the Balance, his book bridges social emotional support for the student athlete and their families. Lastly, he brings his expertise to us from the point of view as an expert by looking at intentional investments. As the creator of CKA Save, which stands for Coach Keith Adams, Student Athletes Valuing Education, he has established a project that serves as the one-stop shop for student athletes from middle, secondary, and post-secondary scholars. Without further ado, please give your attention now to Dr. Keith Adams.
Thank you so much. Greetings and salutations. I hope everybody can see my screen. One, I'm so happy to be here and to reconnect with BDN. The picture that I am showing is the picture I want all doctoral students to finally get to. That is my completed research poster. And there is a lot of joy and pain and sweat into that poster. So again, this is staying connected, empowering doctoral students to enhance mental health and well-being. So for me, as I maneuver, again, you've had an opportunity to hear a little bit about myself. We're going to do an activator, and we'll do that activator in the chat. We'll look at the Stay Connected framework, and again, the document will be placed in the chat for you to follow along with the framework. We'll have a small group discussion in breakout rooms so you can access the material and talk about it in much more detail. We'll do some group sharing, have some takeaways, wrap up, and a lot of Q&A. And again, I hope we get a lot out of it. Feel free to visit our website, cksaveproject.org. We assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development, and our goal is to empower them. In addition, we do the Odd Coaches podcast. All of this you can catch on our website. In addition, I'm fortunate enough to be both in my high school and college halls of fame for coaching. I've had a chance to speak across the country. That's me at Ohio State in that picture. That is my wife, Tamisha. I did marry my high school sweetheart. She is Muffin to me, so I rarely call her by her government name. And that scrapping young fella at the bottom of the picture is Keith Adams Jr., class of 2027 at DeMatha. He's a wide receiver, and hopefully he can catch some passes and somebody will like him. A little bit more about me directly from me. I pride myself on my work ethic. You don't get through 30 years in the public school system without having some type of drive, and I'm fortunate that I've been able to do that, and I'm looking forward to doing other things. My core values are to elevate student outcomes, cultivate community partnerships, and lead organizational change. And I'm so looking forward to hearing about the research you guys are doing in terms of what changes you're going to make with the work you're doing. My professional strengths, my leadership skills, I have experience developing curriculum, and I love engaging with students of all levels. As mentioned, I did go to Bowie State University, go Bulldogs. I did my first master's at Grand Canyon University, and I did that through distance learning. My master's is in teaching, which is the art of instruction. And then while I was coaching at Hood College is in Frederick, Maryland. It's a small Division III school, highly academic. So instead of paying me in salary, which would have been low, they paid me in education. That's how I got my admin certification 1 and 2, which means I can be a principal anywhere in the country. And then the doctoral process came through Grand Canyon again, and we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But right now in the chat, I'd like for us to take 2 to 3 minutes. Please type in so everyone can see how you currently take care of yourself right now. How do you care for yourself as you're going through this tremendously challenging process? I have my timer set, but I'm loving to hear through the chat how you guys are currently taking care of yourself as we go through this journey. And this is how we can kind of introduce ourselves as well. So again, if you can type in the chat how you're currently taking care of yourself right now, that would be awesome. 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 Outstanding. All wonderful. All wonderful. Horseback riding. And it's okay to not do it as well as you should, because I've been there and we're going to have those conversations. We'll wait just 1 more minute. Okay. Basketball, pickleball, and gym. Great. Great. I don't think I've picked up a ball in a while. I'm a little nervous about my Achilles if I remember too much from the past. All right. That's great. And again, if you guys will take a look, a lot of rich discussion in the chat, and that's awesome. So let's move forward. Um, the Stay Connected framework, and again, I hope you are able to access the handout. But I'm going to share my own first because I think it's important. Um, I got my undergraduate degree from Bowie State in part so mama can be happy and go to church and say her boy did something. And my dad jokingly said, now you have a career, not a job. Okay. So I got my master's degree because if you know anything about the education system, if you take a look at the bachelor scale and you look at the master's scale, you see that people with their master's degree make more money. So it was a money grab. I'll get a master's degree so I can make more money. And then coaching at Hood, they weren't going to pay a lot. And if you look at again a teaching scale, if you get more education, they'll pay you more money. So again, I'm financially motivated. I'm at the top of the scale. Great. But then real life happened. I found an organization in 2009 called the CK Save Project, in part because of a rant my high school coach made about athletes not stepping up to the plate and doing more than just playing. And I'm with a lot of former student athletes of mine, and we're having dinner, and I'm telling them about these stories, and they got really real. And they weren't high school students anymore. One was an attorney. Another one was a business major from the University of Chicago. And they said, Coach, we can do this. We can make this nonprofit. Let's fill out the paperwork and let's do something. So then we found a nonprofit and we have our board and we have our things. And now it's a case of, well, what will we want to do? Well, we want to empower student athletes. And because I'm an educator, I want it based out of fundamental research. But real life is happening. I'm living in this academic world. I'm living in this athletic world. I'm chasing all my coaching dreams. And as a result, I'm not centered. And I end up going through a divorce. And that's real life. So now in 2012, I'm back living at my parents' house. And now is a good time, crazy enough, to start a doctoral process. Two things happened, though, throughout this process that made me create the Stay Connected framework. One, a Super Bowl party. A high school coaching colleague of mine, a former colleague, reached out to me and said, "Hey, Keith, come on over to the house. We're watching the Super Bowl." And I'm like, "Man, I got to work on this. I got to do this. I got to do that." And he cussed me out and said, "No, you don't. You need to be over here with us." And that was a life changing moment because you still have to live through this process. And the most crushing moment was I'm sitting at the dining room table, and my young son, he was 5 or 6, said, "Daddy, can you play with me?" In other words, I'm so immersed in this that I'm forgetting that that kid is only 5 once, only 6 once, only 7 once, and I don't want to waste any of it. So I came up with the Stay Connected framework to better help me cope, to better help me deal with all of the things that are going on, and really help me, as my book says, find a better balance. So, with that, before we go through the full framework, if someone's comfortable, please unmute and share any success, challenge, or lessons you learned throughout your journey before we talk about the Stay Connected framework.
Dr. Adams, I must say, as people are thinking through what to share out, in the chat, we are having a lot of engaging discussion and dialogue. For example, we are enjoying the part of you sharing that educators being centered is extremely important. We're taking that to heart. We also are looking at aspects of including church involvement, recreational activities and sports, and being authentic with ourselves that our work-life balance is not as strong as we would like to. I'll quietly mute for a moment and let others have the floor. I trust that they're still thinking. As I reflect upon myself here, looking at my own challenges and success throughout my journey, I find that it may be simple, but I have not given up. As a student, as a single parent, as someone who is also an educator, sometimes the low hanging fruit is to put myself on the back burner. And at times it may take us 4, 5, 10 years to complete our doctoral journey. But at the end of the day, we are honoring ourselves, our ancestors, staying true to our goal and our why, and persisting. That's one of the successes that I have, is that I continue to persist.
And yes, and for me, before we transition, the biggest lesson learned was that a delay was not a denial, it was a delay. When your chair gives you back feedback and it's not as good as you wanted it to be, it's a delay, it's not a denial. When my methodologist, who I still have nightmares about because I did a quantitative study and math wasn't my strongest subject, uh, gave me feedback to say, "Hey, you can do this, but you've got to learn all of the things you slept through in class." So again, before we transition to the Stay Connected framework, love to give anybody else an opportunity before we transition.
I can share.
Thank
Hey,
you.
everybody.
I'll share afterwards.
Thank you.
Do you want to go ahead? Oh, okay. So I'm Lisa Gliona, and I'm, I don't even know what year, because I started my doctoral journey a few years ago, and I had to put a pause because I'm a working parent. I have a full-time job, and there were a lot of obligations that came before me that just said, hey, this is not the right time. So I think something that really helped me this time around is asking for help, because I was of the mentality, doing all that stuff, that I could handle a doctoral journey on my own, just, the way I've very frantically and in my own way kind of managed to complete things in my life that were outside of education, and a master's degree and, a bachelor's degree with no degree of, I always managed to pull it off. So I kind of brought that mentality into my doctoral journey and realized that, something's going to have to give here. So just asking for help has been really beneficial for me.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that on my journey. This is a new journey for me that I embarked on about 3 years ago, and I got through the coursework recently, and now I'm starting, the actual dissertation. Um, I knew going into this last phase it would be challenging, so I took a sabbatical from work. Thank God I have a job that enables me to do that. So I put my private practice on hold. I took a sabbatical from the school where I work at, and now I'm just doing this pretty much the 365 days out of the year until September 2025. Um, I'm currently at the stage where I'm looking for participants for my study. Uh, the study that I'm doing is basically emerging Black male adults, 18 to 25, lived experiences with racial microaggressions on social media, uh, with the potential mitigating factor of involvement in religious activities. It's been a challenge getting participants for the study. And I knew that going into it because you got three big heavy stuff right here. You're talking about race, you're talking about religion, you're talking about their heavy involvement in social media. So, I was recently talking with my pastor, and he was like, "Oh, that was smart of you taking a sabbatical," because it's heavy work, but you got to take care of yourself. And I knew, between that and some family stuff that I needed that space to do that. So, I'm starting to get some headway with participants, but I know self-care is something that it's important to me because I wouldn't be able to do it without it. It's like it's in the forefront. Thank you
I so
for letting me
appreciate
share.
both of you sharing. I do, because it's real. Real life is real. In terms of having to take a break, the doctoral process for me helped me get through the real life I was living, and it gave me something to anchor. But so many of my colleagues had paused, and some came back, some didn't. That's real. Another thing is, for me, it took me 6 years, and it took me 6 years in part because of what I was doing. I'm trying to find out about Division I student athlete motivation. And let's just say not everybody wants to know what the kids think and what the young adults think. So I it took me forever to get my sample size. That alone was a year. And just like one of the speakers, man, once I got through the coursework, I'm thinking, oh man, undergrad, once I got cooking, I'm good. Masters, I knocked that out in 2 years. Oh, not only did I coach, but I took my master's classes and I was the head of a department. Let's go get this done. Let's go do this. No, no, you have to respect that process. So if everyone can open up the framework, I'd like to talk to you about how I got to each of them, give you a chance to digest it, and then we'll break out into small groups. So the first thing is continue to stay engaged. One of the things that got me was that when you're doing a doctorate, it's all about you. Nobody asked for this. You said this is what I want to do. So if you're not engaged in the process, no one else is. It's not going to write itself. So you have to do your best to intentionally stay engaged in everything that comes with obtaining the doctorate. The O is owning your own learning. The best example I can give for what we've been through and what you're going through is you're really birthing a child. You're birthing new learning into the world, and you've got to go through a long process to birth that new learning. So you have to own it, and that's challenging. Kara Lawson, very famous coach, outstanding basketball player, did did a speech by accident a few years ago where she had mentioned that you've got to handle hard better. And we took that and said, you got to first know it's hard. So the CO is acknowledging that what you're trying to do is hard, and you have to respect it by staying engaged in it and locked into it and owning that, yes, the world needs what it is that you're doing. And then the first N is nutrition's important. I had a coach's diet for the majority of my life. And now I'm type 2 diabetic and I live this every day. And now I've got to do meal prep. I've got to do all types of things that I wish I was focused on while I was chasing whatever it was I was chasing. So you've got to take care of yourself in terms of the nutrition piece. And then the second end is never give up. You got this. You already know it's hard, but you know your why. And once you know your why, that's going to get you through the days that you don't feel like doing it, because sometimes you don't feel like doing it, and that's okay. E is enjoy the journey. I had so many revisions that I started keeping notes on how many revisions I had. And now, if I am playing Keno, I'm going to play the number 39 because it took me 39 drafts to just get out of committee to do more work. So I enjoyed the process. I learned how to be a nice nuisance. When my committee said, you got to do this, this, and this, I would say, okay, and then I would do this, this, and this, and give it right back to them better than it was before. And that's kind of how I started to enjoy the journey. Also, on occasion, I like Riesling. So Relax is my favorite Riesling, and it has a blue bottle. So I would wait for a milestone, and then I would get that one bottle and look forward to that glass of Riesling because I earned it because I did all of these other things. The next C is check on each other. You've got like multiple worlds you're living in, but the doctoral world kind of knows what you're going through. So you've got to find a group of people in this world to just check on. And then in the other world, you've got to have people that you check on and check on you. Um, I had a friend named Jennifer. Her son was 2 years older than my son, and she knew that there was some times that I had to get some work done, but my son didn't sign up for this program I did, and he shouldn't have to struggle, and he shouldn't have to not have fun because daddy's locked in a room trying to do something. So she and her daughter would pick up my son and say, you need to go do what you need to do, and it's okay. And that takes us to T. Take time for yourself. It's a lot. The day job, the night job, the Saturday job. I tell folks that if you're really trying to get a doctorate, it's a part-time job and you've got to spend at least 20 hours a week on it. But you can't work 40-hour job and then 25, 30 hours a week. So make sure you do something for yourself. And that takes us to E, exercise regularly. For me, that time on the treadmill, that time in the gym, that time just walking with my wife in the neighborhood, that helped clear my mind. And that was a big deal, which takes us to D, dream big. When I founded the CK Save Project in 2009, I had a goal to make this a national organization, and we really have worked to do that, and we continue to grow and dream and build. And the big dream is to do CKA full time. And this year is the 30th year in education. So now I have options, and it's good to have options. So we have still a lot of big dreams, and I'm excited about everything that's coming. And I hope you can take this framework and make it good for yourself. So as we transition to the breakout sessions, we want to break you into smaller groups so you can really dig into, stay connected from wherever you are in the process. We're not going to capture on the slideshow. Canva is not that fun with that. We like to capture it in the chat as well as have somebody within your group, present out. So here are the 4 questions that we're going to do, and we'll leave it on the screen for you as we organize the breakout groups. 1, which 2 to 3 components of Stay Connected did you guys kind of talk about? 2, how do you practice this in your own life? 3, what are the obstacles? Because real life is real. And then who or what can support you in that? So while you're looking through the framework, I'm going to go and adjust the breakout rooms, and I'm going to create 3 breakout rooms and automatically assign them. And then we'll be back in about 10 minutes, maybe a little more, and have that conversation. Are there any questions before we go to the breakout room? You can either unmute or I will check the chat. Just trying to be a good teacher with that. All right. So we're going to go into our breakout rooms, and I'm going to try to hop between rooms if possible. And thank you. We'll see you in 10. Folks will be back shortly. Greetings and salutations. Rita, I hope you're well.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to resume the share. All right. And and the group I was in, a lot of rich conversation. So if anybody is interested, please share the discussions that took place within your groups. Again, feel free to unmute and kind of let us know what you guys were thinking about within your groups. And you can go in any direction you like. I see in the chat, group 1, Dr. Griffin, would you like to add to your notes? We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, not a doctor yet. I'm working towards it, though, but I appreciate that.
That's okay. It's
Snap,
okay.
snap, snap.
Dream big, baby. Dream
I'm
big.
dreaming. We was talking about that, D. Oh man. The only thing I would add to it is never giving up. You know, like I was talking about before in regards to some of the struggles with getting participants. I came up with a game plan. I came up with a little brief presentation that I'm gonna give to some small groups of young men, just educating them on the project. I just got approval from the IRB to recruit now via flyer. Um, in regards to uh, taking time for yourself, oh, I got a lot of time right now. I'm on sabbatical, so I do my best to try to spend time with family. We just recently did a walk, the cancer walk that they do every year in honor of my mother. Just little small events. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to a Halloween party
Okay.
this coming weekend. So looking forward to that with a group of friends. Just doing stuff like that. It helps me stay connected and socializing and, you know.
That's good. That's good. Anybody from group 2 would like to share the flow of their conversation?
We actually had some connection issues, so we weren't able to resolve them in time to fully discuss.
Okay. Is there anything individually that were you able to see the framework to know what the letters stood for?
Yeah. I saw all of it. I just missed like the questions, the specific questions for the chat. I wasn't able to capture those.
Yeah, not a worry. Is there any particular letter that resonates with you? Either you're doing well or it's an area of growth for you.
All of it. Honestly, I mean, I'm just like trying to get back into the groove and just trying to keep focused. And so just taking in any kind of advice I can, really.
That's awesome. Okay. And we had a spirited group. Anybody from group 3 want to share our conversations before we do some Q&A?
Hi, this is Joyce from Group 3. Dr. Adams, you were in the majority of the the time for our group. I guess we were holding you hostage in there. We resonated with all of the letters. We had a story for all of them. I think one of the main ones was the one about nutrition. You don't have a lot of time to eat healthy. Eating healthy does require some time and effort. And so I found myself eating a lot of fast food because that was fast. And yeah, I just went to McDonald's today, but I didn't have a quarter pounder. But so you grab what you can when you can. Cooking healthy and eating healthy like that requires time, and every minute that you're awake, you're trying to put that amount of effort into that dissertation process, meeting with the committee and things like that. So that one was probably one of the major ones, was nutrition. And then the other one was checking in on each other. I went to a program, this a one-on-one program, so it's a little different. There is no one technically in your class. So if you don't make any kind of connections, there is no connections. But once I realized what that was, I was able to make some connections with people who were having the same and or similar problems and things like that. So that made it a little bit easier. So we formed a bonding group that checked on each other on our own. It was nothing orchestrated by the school, nothing even known to the school. And so we would have our check-ins on Sundays. Did you turn something in? Because we had to turn something in every Sunday before 11:59 p.m. Arizona time. And so someone would check on everybody like a round robin to make sure that you turned in something, even if it was to say you didn't make that much progress. And I think it helped to keep people motivated, because a couple people said that they was just so disenchanted that they didn't even feel like saying that they didn't even make that much progress the week before or whatever. So those were the letters that we resonated with in our group.
All right. So there will be a Q&A at the end of this, but I definitely wanted to make sure we got to the takeaways to honor time. So the key takeaway that I want everybody to get from this presentation is self-care isn't selfish. It's essential for sustaining your academic success and staying connected, whether to yourself, your peers, your academic goals. It's just critical to navigating this doctoral journey. And that's what it is. It's a journey. Um, if you would like to know more about it from our website, you can purchase our book, Finding the Balance. I talk a lot about how I got through a lot of this, and there's a lot of practical advice, including a chapter on stay connected. You can, snail mail, so forth. And before I share all of my contact information, are there any questions for me that you would like to know, or questions for each other? And I'll monitor the chat, or you can unmute if you had any questions or anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up. I want to be mindful of time, of course. Thank you. The self-care isn't selfish. I wish I could coin that, but that's the reality of what it is. And so often for me, I felt bad if I wasn't everything to everybody. Even in the day job, I'm a helper. I do student support. I do teacher support. I do administrative support. My whole job is serving others. So there comes a point where you have to serve yourself and you have to take care of yourself, because if you don't, then you're not good for anyone. And there was one point in my own life that I had a 400 blood sugar, and I'm like, what is that? And they said, bad. That's what it is. Okay, well, we have to do something about that, because you're going to be the late doctor if you don't if you don't get this correct. So before we wrap up, I definitely want to share my contact information. Please reach out, email, social media, website. I want to be of as much service as I can to each and every one of you. Wherever you are in your process, whether you're done, working on being done, we're all in the same boat together. And I'm just so honored to reconnect with BDN. I do remember nervously presenting in Philly, and the fact that they allowed me to present what I presented wasn't even my final research. Because while I was at the BDN, they were like, "Hey, come here, kid. You might want to do this. You might want to do that. Your topic's too broad." And I'm getting the feedback that Dr. Williams mentioned, and I'm like, "Wait a second. How come they're not telling me this in my own program? This is great." So find the helpers. And again, I'll stop my share, and I'll be available for chatting or what have you. And thank you so much. And feel free to contact me. It's okay. I encourage it.
I just had a quick question, Dr. Adams, and thanks a lot for the
Yes.
presentation. It was very informative and inspiring. Um, Tell me a little bit more about that nervousness, because that's one of the things that I struggle with, especially when presenting. I think sometimes my nerves get the best of me, especially when I'm in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
How you work through it and so
It's
forth.
funny living in two worlds. And I have that athletic identity thing that I had to get over, because if I'm with a bunch of players or coaches or whatever, let's go do this. But every time I walk in a room, they think I'm a gym teacher. And I'm like, no, I'm a social studies teacher by trade. And let's go do this thing at a high level. So a lot of times I follow the old mantra of I've got to be so overqualified to even be in the room, and you still won't give me the job. So
Mm,
I learned to just say, bump it for the video, and you don't do what I do. I'm the expert at this. So I'm going
mm,
to walk it like I talk it. And
claim
whether
it.
you like it, don't
Right.
like it, sit down and look at it, because it's the best thing going today. And
Hmm.
I had to bring more of an athletic identity into my academic world, because in athletics, we are data driven. We are performance based. And if you don't do well, there are immediate consequences. And in academics, there's always some other excuse. There's always
Hmm.
some other reason. And as
Hmm.
somebody of color who is often the only black male in the room, yeah, I don't represent my entire race, but here's my data and my research. And that research has been read by people in 6 continents and 40 nations. What do you
Hmm.
got? And that kind of, I rarely throw out the doctor, but there are times that I walk in the room and say, stop. We're
We're
not
not
doing
doing
that.
that. I hear you. I hear you.
So I hope
Thank
that
you so
helped,
much.
because that's how I got past it. And now I don't worry about like, I don't worry about don't like. I'm the same dude all the time. And that's your problem, not mine, because I had a prominent administrator once
Mm,
tell me not
mm,
everybody has the same sense of urgency to assist the population you want to assist. And I said, that's their problem. So that's
mm.
why we formed our own organization. And now I don't have to go through. And after 30 years in the system, thank you for my pension. I get to work with whoever I want to.
Yes,
And that's
yes,
the
yes.
business. No,
Nice.
nothing personal, just business. Thank you. And most relationships don't end positively, they usually end negatively. So if you don't care in the beginning, you don't have to
Mm,
care in the end. This is
mm,
we're going to work. We're not a family. Y'all might say family, but
mm,
somebody else is going to have your job as soon as you leave, and
mm,
I'm okay with that.
mm. Oh,
So that
man.
helps with the confidence speaking.
Yes, yes, yes. That helped a lot. Thank you so much.
And yes, that
Appreciate it.
promo was recorded. It's okay.
Oh,
Because I
okay,
believed
okay.
it.
Oh,
No,
great. I can
the
look back at
recording
that.
is still
Oh,
happening.
yes. Thank
So I'm
you.
like, yeah, that's a real one.
I'm gonna look back on that. I gotta read that one. I gotta listen to that again.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Any
it.
other
This is a
questions?
beautiful dialogue. I do want to end with Dr. Adams sharing his contact information, but before we do, in the chat is our workshop evaluation. It takes approximately 3 to 5 minutes. I am going to ask that you go ahead and kindly participate in that. I see that Dr. Adams is sharing his contact information. I'd love to end on that note. However, after I share his information, I want to highlight a few more of BDN's upcoming events. As we see Dr. Adams' contact information, he's giving us a thank you, but I must applaud you for sharing your wisdom and expertise with BDN today, and thank you from all of us. We see that there are a plethora of ways to reach Dr. Adams. His website is ckasaveproject.org. Once again, website at ckasaveproject.org. He can be emailed at ckasave@ckasaveproject.org. and he is available through social media at CKA Save Project. Also, those who participated live and in person today, feel free to check the chat for alternative methods of reaching him. That is one of the benefits of attending live. You have immediate access to our participants and our member network. While we remain on this slide for approximately 10 more seconds, I will then introduce on my screen share how we can be contacted for future BDN events. With that being said, thank you, Dr. Adams. What we see in front of us now are 4 upcoming events. We notice that on our website, which is blackphdnetwork.com/events. Repeat it once more, blackphdnetwork.com/events. We have our virtual writing and productivity retreat taking place on November 5th from 12 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is free to BDN members, and there is a small cost for those who are not members. Our next workshop series for this season is going to be creating a safe space for Black women in leadership. That is going to be held on November 6th, the evening at 5 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be facilitated by John Hatcher, Dr. Kelly Joseph, and Miss Renee Stokes-Love. We will repeat our popular virtual writing and productivity retreat on November 12th in the afternoon between 12 and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And our upcoming series that we can't wait to have you at is our BDN workshop series, Your Pathway to a Meaningful and Fulfilling Career, facilitated by Dr. Joanna Andrews-Adlam. All these events can be seen and registered at BDN's workshop. For a final bow, we lead to Dr. Keith Adams for final words.
One, thank you so much to BDMs for having me. Thank you to the participants. I truly appreciate it. And again, please feel free to reach out to me on any medium. We're very happy to help. We all want everybody to get to the end of this journey. And as my own people will say to me, you got this.
Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Adams and family. We'll see you next time. Bye.